You're about to discover the 8 best things about the brand new Saga Spirit of Discovery, plus one thing that could be a deal breaker and stop you from cruising on this ship. Hi, I'm Gary Bembridge, and this is another of my tips for travelers. So I want to share with you the things that I thought were fantastic about the Spirit of Discovery, and importantly, the one thing that could stop you from cruising on this ship. But first of all, a couple of facts and figures about the ship. The Spirit of Discovery is the first of 2 sister ships being built by Saga Cruises. Spirit of Discovery is the first one, Spirit of Adventure the second one. It holds 999 guests, has 505 crew, 10 passenger decks. Those stats mean that it falls in many people's definitions within the small ship cruising category, which is normally defined as less than 1,000 passengers. The first great thing is the design. It is a great looking ship from the outside. It's very unique, it's very different because it was specifically designed for Saga. But inside, the designers, which were SMC, a London-based design organization, have created a boutique hotel feel. And that's really what Saga are going for. So the inspiration for the design was taken from London-based boutique hotels. It is a very modern and contemporary look. A couple of things that I really liked about this, sort of more as a ship geek, is there's a really great connection to the ocean. So they have an enormous and very wide promenade deck. If you walk around the promenade deck 4 times, you've done 1 mile. And that has disappeared from many modern cruise ships. At the back of the ship, there's also a magnificent terrace area where you can sit out the back of the ship. It's multi-leveled. You can also have drinks there during the day and in the evening and look out to the ocean. So I love the fact that design inside is a boutique contemporary hotel feel, but there's a real sense of nautical connection and a connection to the sea. You even see that in terms of open spaces. So for example, the Lido, which is the pool area, this is also very open, it's very large, and again, there's great connection to the ocean. There's a real sense of Britishness around the design and the aesthetics. So for example, there are 1,000 pieces of artwork across the ship, 400 of which were created for the ship, and all of them have been created by artists that are based in the UK. A lot of the suppliers, the cheese, the salmon, wine are again from British suppliers. The second thing that struck me about the ship were the dining options. Saga is all-inclusive, so all of the dining, both specialty dining and regular dining, is included within the fare. There are 6 dining options across the ship. The most important, of course, is the main dining room, which is known as the Grand Dining Room. It serves British and international cuisine. It's a magnificent, very traditional liner-looking type of dining room. You then have the grill and the veranda, which is up on the Lido deck, and this is your more informal dining, so it's more buffet, although also importantly on formal nights they have the same menu in here as in the main dining room. So if you don't want to get dressed up for formal nights, you can have the same menu up in the grill and the veranda area. The veranda, of course, being the outside area, so you can dine al fresco when the weather is good. There are 3 specialty dining options, the first of which is one that I know Saga are very excited about and passengers are very excited about, and this is the club with Jools Holland. Jools Holland being a very well-known British entertainer and musician. So the club is a steakhouse, and in the evenings they have cabaret, which is all curated by Jools Holland. Then there's Coast to Coast. This is a beautiful restaurant, actually. It's the seafood restaurant, and this restaurant seats 74 diners. It's a new concept to Saga. It's only open in the evening. One which really appealed to me is East to West, and this is an Asian restaurant, so an Asian fusion restaurant, beautiful decor. It's only open in the evenings and holds 76 diners. Also, which is included, which is your 6th dining option on board the Spirit of Discovery, and that's 24-hour room service. Again, no charge. So all of the dining options are included within the fare. For me, the 3rd most amazing thing and great thing about the ship is the Britannia Lounge. The Britannia Lounge is a classic on all the Saga ships. And this particular Britannia Lounge is spectacular. When you walk in there, there's a real wow factor. So the Britannia Lounge is used during the day for talks or various events, and in the evening it's where you can go dancing, so there's a dance floor. You have the Britannia deck outside, which has some really beautiful artwork out there, and it's on the front of the ship, so you can also get great views as the ship sails through the beautiful scenery. Britannia Lounge I've pulled out as one of the best things about the new ship because I do think it is one of the absolute best parts of the ship. It really is a magnificent space. The fourth thing that I've identified as being really good about the ship are the cabins, and I want to talk about a couple of the cabins very specifically. All of the cabins on board have balconies, so there's no inside cabins, there's no ocean views. It is entirely a balcony ship. On the brochure and the website, they actually identify 9 grades, but I think you can better split those down into 3 key categories. You have solo cabins, you have balcony cabins, which you have 2 types, standard and deluxe, and you have suites where there are 3 types, midships, forward and aft. One of the things I really wanted to talk about are solo cabins. 20%, 109 cabins on board the Spirit of Discovery are solo cabins. So Saga really cater for solo travelers in a really big way. But also what's great is they cater for different budget types within solo cabins. So they have a standard cabin, they have a superior cabin, they have a deluxe cabin, and they even have solo suites. So catering for solo travelers is a really big plus. The other great thing that Saga do is cater phenomenally well for people who have disabilities or need accessible cabins. The accessible cabin I was really impressed with. Of course, it's a great size. You have extra space. If you're in a wheelchair, you have a wet room style bathroom. They have a ramp which heads up and out onto the balcony. But the great thing about it is every single accessible cabin has an interconnecting door to a solo cabin next door. So it means if you're traveling with a friend, a family, or even a carer, they can have a separate cabin connected to yours and they don't have to share a cabin, bunk up with you. So I think there's real pluses here. Not only do they have a range of cabins for all budgets, but they really cater phenomenally well for solo travelers with those many different grades and for people with accessibility needs, and particularly if they're traveling with carers or friends. So the cabins for me, definitely a real big plus. The fifth thing that I really want to talk about is entertainment and their take on entertainment, because I think they do something slightly differently. They have the Playhouse Theatre, which can seat 440 at one time, so they have production shows in the evening, they obviously have guest artists, at other times will act as a cinema. So that's fairly standard, and as you would expect, it's pretty high-tech being a new ship. The other thing which they have, which I think is great, is the library. Now the library is a really interesting venue. It's not only a great looking venue where they also have 3,500 books, so an enormous library. They have self-service teas and coffees here, but they have a couple of really interesting things. They have an enormous craft area and they run classes, jewelry making or paper craft. Then they have a very large card room. Bridge and card playing is very popular on board, so a dedicated card room which can hold up to 40 people at one time. Also in terms of entertainment and activities, they have a very big enrichment program, so there's always guest speakers, guest lecturers. So entertainment, definitely, it is much more enrichment orientated and some really great things that they do. In terms of social venues, they have quite a lot of places where you can socialize. One of the most interesting of all is the South Cape Bar. Now, this is the name of a bar which originally appeared on one of their first and early ships within the cruise line, which was the Saga Ruby, right back in 2005. Another really great space, which is probably part of the hub of the ship, is known as the living room. So during the day, this is a coffee bar. In the evening, it becomes more of a cocktail bar. And because it's right in the heart of the ship and near the atrium, it's a real hub both during the day and in the evening. So the living room is a great space, beautiful seating areas, really fun bar. Then, of course, you have the Britannia Lounge, which I've already spoken about, and you have the terrace at the back of the ship, which I've also spoken about. The next thing that I thought was really good and struck me about the ship was just how much space and effort was focused on the whole area of wellness. First of all, they have a spa, which is huge. In the spa, you of course have your traditional spa treatments, very big salon area, very large steam room and sauna area, a great hydrotherapy pool area. So lots of space dedicated to the sort of the pampering side of wellness. Right up on the top of the ship, they also have the fitness area and the gym area. There's also an outdoor sports area, and also they have a fairway golf simulator. So lots of space and focus on wellness. Another really good thing on board the Spirit of Discovery is the all-inclusive nature of the fare. Now, Saga fares had been pretty all-inclusive, but from 2020, they're going completely all-inclusive. So what does that mean? Obviously, your accommodation, all the dining, as I've already mentioned, gratuities, Wi-Fi, and from 2020, drinks are included. They also include a pickup service, get picked up from your home and taken to and from the ship. Insurance is included, and if you don't take the insurance, you can then also get a slight discount on the fare. Of course, you have the extra of things like excursions, spa treatments, if you buy stuff in the shop. But it's great to know that all the fundamentals of the cruise experience are included within the fare. So those, in my view, are the 8 really great and good things about the brand new Spirit of Discovery ship from Saga. So what about the downsides, the thing that could stop you cruising? Saga is a UK-based company, and they do all of their marketing to UK passengers, and they create a very British experience. Now, that doesn't mean if you're not a UK resident, you can't cruise on Saga. So if you want to cruise on Saga and you're out of the UK, you need to make sure that you connect through with Saga in the UK. However, the biggest issue that you face is, in order to cruise with Saga Cruises, you need to be over 50 years of age. However, if you are 50 years of age and your partner or friend is over 40, they can cruise with you. But you do need to be over 50 before you can cruise on a Saga cruise. If you want to find out much more about cruising and Saga Cruises, I have many more videos on the topic, so why don't you watch one of those right now.